Again, good morning, everyone. Mark Hunter with the Messer office, presenting today to you another carrier with products that I think will find a sweet spot in your book of business. A little housekeeping before we get started, of course. Please do mute your phones. They are muted in the system, but occasionally something will slip through. If you hear any background noise, it sounds like it may be coming from your own location. Please be sure to mute your phone. We're going to ask that you type any questions that you have in the box on the right column there for questions, so we can address all those questions when we finish the presentation. Also, we're going to ask that you stay on the presentation until the very end, not only for us to do a review of the information, but most importantly for the announcement of the bonus that will be attached to any sales provided by you. Those who are on the webinar exclusively are entitled to that bonus. So with no further ado, my honor this morning to introduce to you the Virtual Sales Director for Transamerica, Mr. Doug Bedore. Good morning, Doug.
Thank you very much, Mark, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Again, my name was Doug Bedore. I'm a Virtual Sales Director here at Transamerica, which is kind of a new title they've given a couple of us here, and we really focus on bringing product solutions and product sales ideas through these virtual presentations. So I do appreciate everyone making a little time today to talk a little bit about Transamerica and some of the offerings that we have. So again, I've been with the company about 11 and a half years now, and do focus on our life product lines. So today what we're going to talk about is really a product that can help supplement, especially with the senior market, life insurance needs. And we're going to talk about our Solutions Final Expense product. So we're going to just kind of touch a little bit on why we would use a final expense product for our clients, why we'd use Transamerica, and we're going to break down the product a little bit, kind of dig into the details of Transamerica's product. After that, we'll probably take a quick peek at really more of the processing side of things, how to really get a case through Transamerica and the resources you have to use. So again, appreciate everyone taking a little time today, and we're going to go ahead and open it up here. So kind of that first boilerplate slide you always see with carriers, why final expense or why this product? Well, we know it is a great income opportunity for you, especially with clients in the senior market kind of finishing up that open enrollment, kind of getting through that and done with it. We know talking to new clients and talking to the clients that we've been working with about different avenues and different ways to protect their financial futures is kind of a great start. So using that final expense product to start that conversation can be great. So really why we use final expense, it's a whole life chassis on our final expense. Premiums will not increase. It's going to be a fixed level premium, and we'll kind of get into some of the options with that. And with our product, we really try to use this product to quickly get clients into policies. So we're talking about no medical exams required, like you typically might see with term or other types of life insurance. So no medical exam generally required. We're going to be just doing the health questions on the application. For some younger clients on this product, we could be pulling some prescription check and things like that, but generally a pretty quick and painless, no needles, no urine samples needed to get through the process there. So we use the final expense product typically because it's a very easy product to get through the system and typically an easy product to explain and sell to our clients. So we know that really the idea of final expense, having that amount to cover your funeral costs and those very specific costs at the end of life, is a big driver of the market. And the data here is a little old, but I don't think it's changed too much here. Why people buy and when they buy, and everyone can have multiple reasons why they want insurance or need insurance, but the prevailing reason we always see it is to cover those final expenses. And you can see on the chart here that's kind of bared out there. So we know that this is a market that is open and ready to embrace final expense. So we're going to jump right in and look at Transamerica's portfolio, because I really do want to spend some time talking about our specific product solutions here. Again, I mentioned in the beginning, we kind of call this the solutions final expense portfolio, and it's really made up of 3 different versions of the product. And we'll go through each of these versions specifically and more in depth here, but to kind of give you just to frame it in your mind what we're looking at. The first one is our immediate solutions, and this is really the main product. This is the lion's share of our sales, is the immediate solution, and it provides full coverage on the first day of the policy, and really is intended to be a policy the client is paying for over their life, a low-level premium. So we're going to kind of get into specific details here, but the immediate solution, that is probably the one we're going to spend a little more time on. That's really what we see the most sales coming from. We also have a 10-pay solution. Allows the client to kind of front-load the policy and pay it off early. We'll talk about in detail there. And lastly, the easy solution. This features a graded death benefit. So the amount a beneficiary receives if the client were to pass away really in the first 2 years is going to be graded down. It's going to be typically a return of premium, about 110% of the premiums they've paid. After the client has the policy for 2 years, if they were to pass away, it's then the full death benefit coverage. So we're going to kind of get into reasons and specifics on why a client would use that and where the client would use that. So kind of to circle back, the immediate solution is really a main product for us. This is a product that's intended to be paid by the client for a level period. So generally, the client's going to pay this for life. Each year, they're going to have that level premium to pay. And they can pay it monthly, annually, semi-annually, all the different modes there. But intended to kind of just be that flat level premium. We do offer a wide range in terms of ages. So we offer this for younger clients. It says 0 on the screen there. Technically, it's 15 days old. We can sell the client or sell a policy to a juvenile there, all the way up to age 85. So this product is generally, we do see this used quite a bit in the senior markets, but we are also seeing some traction on the younger markets as well. One of the things we're going to talk about a little later is kind of a sale that we saw just starting organically. Was we had children calling in for their parents saying, I'd like to get my mother or father or both a policy, to help with those final expenses. And we're seeing that, after they kind of go through that process and say, hey, why don't I have one of these too? And we can certainly offer this product for younger ages as well. In terms of what you can offer on the product, the least amount you can do is a $1,000 death benefit. So we do go down to pretty low death benefits there. The most you can do is going to really depend on the client's age. For those younger clients, we can do up to $50,000 of coverage. And it kind of goes down from there up to age 65, 40, 75, 30, and 85, 25. So at the very least, we can offer $25,000 of coverage under the immediate solutions plan there. So kind of one more step forward is on the immediate solutions, you have some rider options. So on the screen here, what you're looking at, this is really the list of riders. Now, the first one on the screen is Accelerated Death Benefit Rider. That is actually built into the product. That is no additional cost. That's going to be built into the immediate solutions and also the 10-pay solutions, just to kind of jump forward there. But the Accelerated Death Benefit Rider built into the product. If the client qualifies, they will also have a nursing home benefit. So it's an Accelerated Death Benefit Rider and a nursing home benefit rider. Really qualifying means that they are able to perform all activities of daily living, or they're not needing help with 2 of 6 activities of daily living when they do the application. If that's something that they have an issue with, the nursing home benefit wouldn't be attached, but just the regular Accelerated Death Benefit would be attached. And just to kind of take a second and talk a little bit in detail about that specific rider. So Accelerated Death Benefit Rider, this is talking about pulling out the value, the face amount of the policy early in the event the client has some serious medical issues. So most states define that as a terminal illness, as 12 months or less to live. There are some other triggers that the contract gets into, and they're listed in the product guide, but generally you want to think of this as this is really kind of close to end of life. Terminal illness is really going to be a trigger. So for the clients who qualify that have the nursing home benefit, another trigger is built in there. They can access their face amount early if they are confined to nursing care a nursing home for 90 days or more. So it's just kind of adding another trigger in there. It allows the client to really take out and use the death benefit of the policy when they really most need it. So in those nursing home situations, or potentially, in an end-of-life situation, there could be costs that arise that is more important for the client today than waiting for the death benefit to pay out to a beneficiary. So just want to make you aware of that. Again, this is built into our product here. The next two that are listed out are actually optional riders. You can add on to the policy for some additional cost. First one being the children and grandchildren rider. This really is a flexible rider. You can add up to 9 total children or grandchildren of the insured. So the up to 9 is the spot there. You can elect how much coverage you want for the children. It can either be up to $5,000. That's the maximum coverage we'll offer on children, or the face amount of the base coverage. So if a client has a $2,000 policy, for example, that's the most you could do for the child or grandchild rider. So, but generally, if clients have a normal or large policy, you're looking at $5,000 you can do on that. Up to 9 children, you can add in there. So that's optional. The last option is the accidental death benefit rider, and kind of says what it is there. If the client were to die in the event of an accident, an additional death benefit would pay out, and that additional death benefit is going to just match or double what their face amount is. So if they have a $5,000 policy or a $10,000 policy, accidental death benefit rider would match that, whether it's 5 or 10. So that's an accidental death benefit rider. So again, those are the options you can add into the product that kind of give some flexibility to a product. So we've talked about the immediate solutions, and that's kind of, like I said, the lion's share of our sales. We use that product probably definitely more than anyone else. The next step is our 10-pay solution. This just gives some flexibility for a client that may want to front pay or front load the premium of their policy. So this would be they're buying their policy and they're going to pay on it for 10 years, and after 10 years, the coverage is effectively paid up then. So obviously the premium over the 10 years is going to be a more expensive premium than what they're paying on an immediate solutions, but the great thing there is after 10 years they can be done with it and they have their policy without having to add more premium again to it. So just an option. It's kind of, for some estates and some clients, it's something they like to use to kind of get out of the way, or they maybe have some upfront money or some income right now that they know they have, that they can get this done. And if they're nearing retirement age and they know that things could get tighter after retirement, they just want to kind of get this in there and settled. So it's just kind of a niche solution that we see used here and there. Again, same issue ages, 0 to 85, same minimum death benefit, $1,000, or as you can see, ratchet down by age. So on this one, I mentioned before, the accelerated death benefit rider, nursing home care riders in there, built in. You do not have the options to add children riders or the accidental death benefit rider with the 10-pay solution. So lastly, we're going to talk about the third option. It's our easy solution. And really, the way you want to think about this, I mentioned it before, the idea here is there is a graded death benefit to this. And a client would use this really typically if they can't qualify for an immediate solution or a 10-pay solution. So they go through the application, and based on the yes and no answers on that application, it can typically tell you right on that application what the client will qualify for. So if a client says the only option is going to be an easy solution product for them, that is typically why we see this one sold. So in short, the premiums are going to be level over the life of the policy. But really the differences here are one, we're limiting it down to age 80. The minimum coverage amounts, it can differ a little bit by state, but generally it's going to be $1,000. And the minimum issue amount there is going to be $25,000 at the maximum. So that's the most we can do on that. And kind of rehash what we talked about before, it's a graded death benefit. If the client were to pass away in the first 2 policy years, it's not going to be the full death benefit. It's generally going to be a return of premium. About 110% of what they paid in premium is going to be returned to the beneficiary. Once they cross that two-year mark, that gives them that full coverage, and their death benefit would be the full coverage that they've elected. So, you know, with these policies, because we know that our clients are really in more hardship situations with underwriting, that really is a process carriers use to control the premiums and keep those premiums affordable, to kind of shift some of that risk in those early years. But this certainly, for clients that aren't going to be able to qualify for other plans, this can certainly be a great option for them to make sure they're getting that vital coverage they need in the event of needing some burial or final expense coverage there. So again, that was our Easy Solution product. So I kind of mentioned this before. I throw this slide in just every now and then, just to kind of give you a sense of what we're selling out there. 95% of our final expense policies are our immediate solutions product. You know, Easy Solutions, like I said, it's kind of used as needed. 10-pay solutions, pretty niche. So yes, the lion's share is going to be that immediate solution. So we do have preferred and standard rate classes on our immediate and 10-pay solution. Obviously, the graded is only going to be used in the Easy Solution situation. So if you have a client that's being offered an immediate solutions, they're either going to get preferred rates or standard rates. Preferred rates obviously giving them some better pricing. And we do have pretty aggressive underwriting on these. So when I say aggressive, you know, favorable towards the client. So we find that we have a lot of clients that are fitting in our preferred rate classes. These are sales data as of 2014. Almost 80% of the immediate solutions products that we issued there, we did fall into that preferred category. So we do a strong job of making sure we're giving the client the best offer there and getting them into a product that can fit their needs and can be affordable. So we have a lot of marketing around our immediate solutions product. In a second, I'm going to kind of just take you in and show you the website here and where to access some of this marketing and some of these materials. But we have some product guides. We have a lot of client-facing pieces. The piece in the middle of the screen you see here is our My Last Will and Testament. It's a great piece that kind of talks about and gets the client thinking about what it is that they're going to you know, need, or what their family is going to need in the event of their death. So a piece that's used quite a bit, and certainly a client-facing piece. I'm going to talk a little bit about how we underwrite these products and how these products are sold, and the applications here in a second as well. So if you're not aware, Transamerica does have an agent-specific website. It's called agentnetinfo.com. Going to that website, you'll find great information. If you have a case already in, you can check that pending status. Looking for any marketing supplies, you can see them virtually on the website. You can also order hard copy supplies on our trans marketing section of our website. Lots of great presentations like Brain Sharks that you can review different specific topics about this product and many of our other products as well. And all of our different agent and client-facing pieces from the product portfolio. We have a great agent field manual. If you have any questions or want some detailed kind of step-by-step, how do I write a case and how do I move that case through Transamerica's new business system, we have an agent field manual that really gives some great information that starts you from going out and writing the case and kind of moves you all the way through the process. So again, that's on our website, and I'm going to just take a quick moment here and pull up our website so everyone can take a peek at it and just get everyone's eyes on it. So I'm going to kind of, hopefully everyone can see this on the screen. I've made this kind of as large as I can here. But again, this is our Agent Net Info website. I'm not going to go through all of it. I just want to kind of get you familiar with how the site's formatted and laid out. This would be going to Agent Net Info. If you become appointed with Transamerica, or if you're already appointed, you'd be logging into the website, and you can easily access everything from product information over here on the left-hand side. If you get an application, you can upload it right through the website here at Email Documents and pull out any forms or applications. Good time to mention the applications and for this product are paper applications, so you would pull them down from the website or order them hard copies off of our trans marketing section of the website, which is down here. It says trans marketing supplies. So it would be a paper application that you'd be visiting the client, and we're going to talk a little bit and kind of show you some examples of the application as well. But just to kind of show you what we're talking about today in terms of product information and where you find this, if you click on product information, click on final expense, you can specifically drill down by your state and look. The default there will be Transamerica Life Insurance Company, which you want to leave that. And when you pull that up, you're going to get a list of really, I've asked for really everything on this search, but you can dial this down. You can say, I'm looking for rates, and you can say rates, and it'll just show up with things that have rates in it. But you can see we have a lot of material here, from quick flyers to underwriting guides and all that great stuff. So I just want to go ahead and give you an idea of where to find these things if you are accessing the website. And once you have an application in, like I mentioned before, there's a spot here you can upload information as well. So we're going to jump back into this presentation here. So we talked a little bit about the website. In terms of quoting for this product, we do have our own in-house software. We call that Transware. That's our Transware illustration system. That is a piece of software that is a download, and you can download it right from the website we just looked at. And that allows you to plug in very specific information, clients' names, access to all the different premium modes, shows you all the cash value buildup. There's always a small cash value buildup on our whole life policy with the final expense. So it shows you a very detailed quote exactly. So something for a client that maybe is really looking for those details, wants to kind of dig into it. The Transfer illustration system is a great way to produce that illustration and see that. We also do have a kind of a quick smartphone calculator as well. If you were to follow that link on the screen, I'll say it out here out loud just in case anyone isn't able to see it. It's http://FE, so it stands for final expense, FE-TLP-MPREMCALC.com. So mpremcalc.com. So it can be used on the desktop, but also can be used on a smartphone or mobile device. So it's really formatted for a mobile device, but works fine on a desktop. A great way to just kind of quickly get a quote. On there, you can plug in a client's state, age, whether you want to show preferred or standard. And in a second there, you'll see kind of what you're seeing as a premium there. So you're kind of on the fly, just kind of looking to see or looking to change different coverage amounts, see how it would change. A great way to quickly get that information. So that's the software and quote engine. I mentioned before when we were looking at the website, we'll take just a quick peek through an application. I know this is probably impossible to read on your screen, very small type, but I don't intend you to sit and look through all these questions, but I just want to give you an idea or a look at what the application looks like. So the way we work our applications is we split it up by ages. We have two versions of the application. We have a version for clients age 45 to 85, and after this, we're going to look at the one that's for younger ages, 0 to 44. And the reason we do this is we underwrite these a little bit differently. So if you're a client age 45 to 85, which is really the bulk of our sales in this market, you're really just looking at an application with yes or no questions. So you're going to go through the left hand slide or shot here is the actual questions portion of that application for a random state I picked out. And they're going to fill out those yes or no questions. In the industry, we typically call this a waterfall app. So you say yes, yes, yes. If you get a no, you're going to look in that section, and it's going to tell you if you have one no in this section, that means the client is not eligible for any coverage. So that could be a very serious thing. But as you go down and as you're getting more yeses, if you finally hit the next section and it says, okay, if you have 2 yeses in this section, that means you're going to need to use our graded benefit plan. If you have all no's in that section, keep on going. So you'll just kind of know as you step through the app where you're at with a client. By the time you're done with this application, you will pretty much know where they're going to fit, whether it's going to be a preferred or standard, whether it's going to be immediate solutions or easy solutions. This obviously will go across an underwriter's desk, and if there's something that they need to kind of verify or get more information on, there's a potential that they could call out just to do a phone call with the client, a personal history interview. We see that done generally in 15% or less of the cases, and generally it's just to really clarify something on the application to get a little more detail. So, but generally, for the vast majority of the policies that you do, you'll know by the end of the application where the client fits, where their rating is going to be, and from that you'll be able to give them a very specific and accurate estimate of where that premium is going to end up. So like I said, this is really for those older clients, 45 to 85, really the bulk of where we see this market. But like I mentioned before, we are seeing a lot of younger clients utilizing products like this. And with the younger clients, the underwriting is going to be a little bit different. I mean, there are yes and no questions on the application, and that's really kind of to suss out or get an idea of any sort of underwriting conditions. But with younger clients, there is more of a standard regular underwriting guidebook. So the product guide includes an underwriting guide. And if you have a client that has a specific medical condition and is age 0 to 44, you'd really want to refer to this to get an idea of where we would typically rate them. This is obviously going to go across an underwriter's desk, and there could be multiple issues that they need to kind of take into account. But they're using, and what you're seeing on the screen, again, I'm not intending for you to be able to read this specifically or go through line by line or question by question, but just to want to give you an idea of what it looks like. In the underwriting guide, this is just a medical condition section, and there's quite a few pages of this covering lots of different medical conditions. And really, what we ask is if you don't find it covered here, because you typically always will, it's very comprehensive. If you have a specific question on a client, you're kind of wondering how we might do this, you can always give us a call directly. Transamerica makes our underwriting team very accessible. If you talk to our sales desk can typically answer underwriting questions, but if you've got something very specific and kind of want to know which way to go with it, we can get you directly in and talk live with an underwriter right there. They'll give you an idea of how they would view a case. So just want to give you a sense of what that application process looks like. Generally, because we're doing a lot of this just based on yes and no questions, especially with the older ages, we see these apps move through our underwriting process very quickly. The underwriters can typically give a check off on it and kind of confirm that we're getting the rate and the product that we're asking for, usually very quickly. So we've talked a bit about product here. I'm going to kind of switch gears a little bit and get back to the reasons why we look at final expense as really a great solution. One, we know that the cost of having a funeral and those burial expenses are exceedingly high, and this information is kind of pulled together with an average and all the different things that people think of and don't think of when thinking about their funeral costs and final expense costs. So they're showing an average right around a little under $25,000. So just kind of a way to start thinking about all the different things that your clients need to be thinking about, and you can kind of talk to your clients about when looking at life insurance coverage and final expense coverage. We know that there's sometimes a feeling out there is, oh, well, I'm going to have Social Security, I maybe even a VA administration benefit, and we know that those benefits generally aren't going to fulfill all of their final expense needs. The slides here, are talking a little bit about what we typically see and what we can expect. The government only pays lump sums of $255 for those who qualify, things like that. So we know that we can't depend on those things to fall back on for final expense needs. We kind of need to look at other solutions and make sure that we're not putting our family in some precarious financial positions as the result of our death. So these conversations started. This one's actually a little more geared to what I alluded to earlier. This product is a natural fit for our senior market, but we are starting to see other markets open up. I've mentioned we kind of organically saw younger clients buying this policy for their parents, and then buying that policy for themselves as well once they get through the process and see how easy it is. So this kind of conversation started one of the slides that me and my colleagues have been using, because if you're talking to children, adult children that are looking out for their parents, you can kind of ask those questions. Hey, do your parents have life insurance? Who's going to pay those burial expenses if they were to pass away? So those are those kind of quick conversation starters for younger clients. For older clients, we see this as kind of a natural fit, and talking about really that slide one or two ago, knowing what those funeral expenses are and trying to avoid passing that burden on to our clients. So one of the last things here, I just want to kind of give you a sense, and I know it's probably hard to read. I'm going to pull up a bigger version in a second, but Transamerica offers a lot of support, whether it's from the sales process for product design, case design, talking product specifics and really details on our products. We have a full staff sales desk that can assist you on that. New business team, obviously, they're ready to talk to you about getting policies through and getting those cases moved over and paid for you. So I'm going to actually pop out and make this list a little bigger in case anyone wants to note it down. And so what we're generally seeing is a lot of, oh, sorry about that. I know my my apologies on the delay here, but let me pull this up here so that everyone can see it nice and large. So again, if you have questions specific to sales or product, you can use the line, this number here, 877-454-4768. This is Transamerica's general line. Once you hop on that line, you can follow the prompts to really land at any specific department you're looking for. Marketing and product support is my colleagues here on the sales desk. Very knowledgeable and can help you out with any sort of questions you have, whether it's actually doing the application to product knowledge on that. And you can see on this flyer as well, there's numbers for a couple different things. If you have questions on new business or anything like that, you can follow the prompts along as well. So just wanted to bring that up there. I'm going to pull this back up to the very top to give you that main number. I'm going to go ahead and open this back up to Mark to see if you had any comments or additions you wanted to add in there, and then we can go on to any questions that we have as well.
Again, Doug, thank you very much for a wonderful presentation. I think you kept it to the point. I think the agents were able to follow it pretty well. And for you agents out there today, well, a couple of things. Number one, of course, if you're not already appointed with Transamerica, please take advantage of the Messer website and our contracting tool that's available there for you to get that contract works. I think just as well with what you saw in the presentation from Doug, you're going to find in your relationship that you'll build with Transamerica. And what I mean by that is I have forever professed the fact that I truly believe Transamerica is the most agent-friendly carrier in our book of business. They are there to take your calls. They willingly take your calls. They send you to underwriting, and you can find out the status of your case. I think when you saw the brief presentation of using the agent.net info website, and again, you can't use that until you get appointed, so get appointed. But once you get in there, once you get registered, everything that's on that left-hand side, it just makes it so simple. It's click and go. You don't have to be a genius, and if you're concerned that you're not computer friendly, I think you'll find their software is so easy to work with, you'll think yourself is a genius. If you need any assistance, though, please do feel free to give us a call. A couple of things that I listened to in the presentation that, of course, are very important is that you do have a product here with 3 different versions. So you have your traditional final expense. You have the ability for a client that has a little more financial wherewithal or perhaps just wants to get it done to go to the 10-pay. And then, of course, you have that graded product that's going to help you with those clients that have health issues. We'll get into a couple of the questions related there in just a minute. Also, when you're using the software for quoting, again, keep that in mind. You need to download that Transware, and it's a real simple download. You can put it up there on your desktop, have it available, and refresh it when you need to. But anyway, that's the only way you can quote other than getting your supplies because it's not going to allow you to quote as you might on traditional life applications. I also thought it was important for you to see, as Doug explained, that there are truly 2 different applications based on the ages. And I do believe a majority of times, as the statistics showed, you're really going to be working with that clientele that's 45 plus to that 85. And 85 is a reasonable number. I know it's not as high as some carriers go, but it's about the average. 85 is about the average you're going to find. On the high end of the scale, though, for them, of course, is the $50,000 death benefit. For that up to 55 and 40,000 up to 65, because I think you'll find a lot of carriers are going to cut you off in that 25 to 30 range right from the get-go. So you've got that benefit. And then, of course, you've got the riders. And we're going to talk and have some questions here, I believe, about the riders to begin with. Someone is asking the question that if you add a child rider, would the cost be the same or less than getting that child a separate policy?
It's generally going to be less, and it really has to do with that rider is for however much you're doing. If you're doing 5,000, for example, that rider is really, it's a term coverage for the client, for the child. So I probably should have gotten a little more detail into it, but the rider itself, you can add it on, and I'm just pulling it up, so I hate doing this from memory, so I'm looking at it now. So you can add it on for a client who is 15 days to age 17, and the rider, that coverage for the child will stay on until they're age 25. So it does drop off eventually. The client, if before the age of 22, they can convert it into their own policy and have it their own standalone policy. But if they just want to let the rider run out, they'd have it till age 25. So it's not a full whole life benefit. It's really just a term rider that's on the side just to give them some coverage as a youth. The idea there is most clients would then take, let's say, that $5,000 and convert it into their own standalone whole life plan and keep it. So the rider, the children, the cost is very minimal. It's a much less expensive cost than the base coverage itself.
Okay, thank you, Doug.
Sure.
A separate question that we have, and I know we're going to have this in a couple of places, is with that graded product, the Easy Solution, there are a number of states that this product does not apply to, and the question is coming directly out of Florida. Unless things have changed, to the best of my knowledge, it is not yet approved in Florida. Is that correct, Doug?
That's a great point, and the last I checked, that is the case as well, and I'm glad you brought that up. Obviously, just like any carrier and any product, it's always going to be dependent and focused on if it's approved in the state. The graded product in Florida is one that for the longest time we have not had approved. On the website, and we can also, I can share it with you, Mark, if you want to get it out. We do have a state approval chart. The vast majority of states, all three versions of the product are available. Florida, I know I'm based in Florida, so I know that's one that kind of sticks out as we've always been waiting on. But yeah, I can get that out as well. I don't have them all memorized for us right now, but yeah, any specific questions, if you want to call into our sales desk, I can answer that really quickly, and we can always get that. Or if you have access to the website, you can see it as well.
And yes, please do get that out. I'm working off of a desktop version right now that's March of 13, so I know it's not completely accurate. Unfortunately, though, I do know, again, as yourself, I'm here in North Carolina, and that Easy Solution graded product is not available here either.
Okay. Yeah, I know there's a couple out there, and we do have it all in one spot on one sheet. Unfortunately, I don't have it up here in front of me at the office, but we can certainly get it out and communicate that to you.
And then also, ladies and gentlemen, if that is the case, if you are one of those two states, please don't hesitate to call in here and find out what we may have available to assist you and your clients under those circumstances. And let's see what else we've got here. Again, someone, I guess, didn't quite hear all the information. They wanted to know if there was an application that you can do with the software. And go ahead, I know the answer, but I'll let you answer that, Doug.
Oh, sure thing. Yeah, no, this product is a paper application right now. So it is a physical paper application that you can pull the application from the website, and you can kind of digitally type into the application, but it would eventually need to be printed out at some point, signed by the client and sent in. A good time to mention as well, this is intended to be a face-to-face sale. So we, for these for these plans, we're kind of making some concessions on underwriting. We're not having any lab company go out and see them or take blood and urine, but we do want someone to physically go see that we have a live and kicking human being that's signing this application. So we do ask that these are face-to-face sales, and there's a spot on the end of the application that says, did you meet with this client? So yes, it is paper applications. There's not a digital application solution right now.
And thank you for that, because that happened to be the next question, if it was available to do it over the phone app. So we've closed that door. Also, one of the people has called in at this point and stated that they tried to use the mobile quote, and they got a message that the site was no longer there. Perhaps,
goodness.
Can you go back and give them that help desk number, and maybe they can call in direct and get help there?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to pull that up right now. The who to call is 877-454-4768, and please call our product support team. This is our sales desk. They can help you out with that. Last I checked, I believe I checked on the site yesterday, it was working for me. So go ahead and give them a ring if you are interested in using the mobile quote system. They'll make sure that you've got the link in there right and everything is still working smooth for you. So option 5, again, 877-454-4768.
Thank you again, Doug. And Carmen, there's your answer. I know that'll help. Another agent has asked, once again, could you just briefly explain that nursing home rider and how that would work?
Sure thing. Yeah, great question. So in short, it's an accelerated death benefit rider. So when we say accelerated death benefit, we're talking about giving the client their death benefit early in the event there's a triggering event. So the non-nursing home care is that terminal illness trigger, generally 12 months or less to live. But it can be triggered with nursing home if the client, and I'll kind of read you the wording here, is continuously confined to an eligible nursing home for 90 days, and the physician certifies I mixed it up here. So continuously confined to an eligible nursing home for 90 days. So that's the major trigger there. So a client has an issue, just so it's kind of getting the details here, that you have to have the policy effect for 30 days before you can start the kind of triggering event. So let's say they buy a policy, they have it at least 30 days, and they need to go into a nursing home, and they're in that nursing home confined for 90 days. So it's a 90-day waiting period, and that will be the qualifying trigger to start the accelerated benefit, to take out a portion of their death benefit early on the policy that they can certainly use to help defray those costs of that nursing care.
Okay, thank you very much again. And again, another question out there on Florida. And again, my book does indicate, though, that currently the immediate solution or 10-pay are not available in Florida. Has that changed, Doug?
I'm going to pull up one of my own internal sites here, so please bear with me a moment, and I will have this answer for you in just a second, so we can really see all the states here.
Great. That certainly will address everyone out there. We won't have.
Yeah, I know it's a big question because everyone wants to know. Make sure that they can access this product, and grab it here, and this will answer hopefully most of these questions.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can get this in a nice bigger. So really I want to focus your attention, really these 3 columns on the second to last here. So the 3 columns. So immediate solutions, yeses are good. Yeses are good for all sorts of things here. So we are good to go on immediate solutions in Florida, and I'm looking at it right now. Florida graded, it's a yes. I know we were no for a long time, but this is current. This is up to the day they update this. We are yes, good to go, final expense solutions, graded death benefit in Florida. So I'm looking at yeses. Let me see where I can find some no's. Yeses, yeses, yeses. North Carolina, I think we had that mentioned earlier. That is absolutely correct. North Carolina, graded benefit not available. So that would be one no. And going through here, Virgin Islands, no. We did not, I don't think we even filed it in the Virgin Islands. State of Washington, the graded benefit, no. The other two options, yes. And that looks like all of it. So actually a little better than we were thinking about before. North Carolina, we did confirm there. Graded benefit is a no right now. But Florida, it must have snuck in under my radar. I didn't realize that we had it here. I think we actually used to have it and lost it. So it's back. We're good on Florida as well.
And that's great, because perhaps a lot of the difference, too, is the change that took place when the products switched from the previous line of Monumental. Maybe we were able to, or you were able to capture more of those states.
You're absolutely right. We did have a product branding switch from Monumental into the Transamerica name, and that did unify a lot of our processes and a lot of our state filings, and allowed us to really utilize the best state filings that we had. So that cleaned up a lot of that, and we have coverage, as you can see, pretty much all states, and unfortunately waiting on North Carolina there.
And also, could you go back down on New York? Because I know New York is always an oddball, too.
Yeah, New York is always going to be a funny one. We are actually good to go in New York for this product. So we can sell this product. In New York, the name of the company is a little bit differently branded. So our Transamerica Life Insurance Company is our main line of products in most states. It's Transamerica Financial Life Insurance Company in the state of New York. So the application has a little bit of a different title and a little bit of a different look, but the product itself is the same product, same rates being sold in New York.
Great. Thanks again, Doug. I think that really helps, and I'll look forward to pulling that out myself and putting it in my book of business. Here's a little deeper thought question, but a very good one. With the child rider, is it a convertible benefit, and can it be then converted to another permanent whole life product?
It is a convertible benefit. So we allow that child to convert that into their own standalone whole life benefit up until their age of 22. Now remember, they can keep that benefit on and keep the coverage up to age 25, but it needs to be at age 22 or before. They contact us and let us know they'd like to elect to convert that off into their own permanent whole life policy to be able to do that. So absolutely, yes.
And that's without any insurability questions, correct?
Correct. So we've already done the basic underwriting, just the questions that they've answered on this, and they're going to go to a whole life product. Depending on their age, if they're over or if they're under 18, the whole life product that they're going to get is just going to be at what we have a juvenile rate class, which juvenile rate classes you can kind of typically think are basically the same as tobacco rate classes. So a juvenile rate class, I mean, generally can be more expensive. If you've got a healthy 18-year-old, it might be advantageous for them to look around and maybe do some underwriting and get a really good rating, but the option is there. They can get into that. If you're over 18 but under 22 and still want to convert, it's generally just going to be a standard rate class you're converting into the new standalone whole life product.
Great. It looks like, too, that we might want you to read the link again. I'm trying to see which link it was.
I'm guessing the mobile quote link.
And yeah, I think they said there was maybe they misheard it, or the visual.
Yeah, I know, and it's tough. You can see it on my screen, and let me see if I can get to pull up here if I click it.
Yeah,
so,
I think
I'll read it out again. So I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I've got it. Sorry, there we go. Back again. So http://FE-TLP. Excuse me, TPL. Maybe that's where I mixed it up. TPL. Period MPREMCALC.com. So I did click it, and it did bring me to this site. And like I mentioned before, this is really intended to be formatted for mobile phones. So it kind of can look funny on a desktop itself, but it works. And you can just kind of plug through it and pick out your state and pick out gender, and are you using what rate class, and all that good stuff. And you'll eventually end up with a pretty quick quote after about 2 pages of some questions, preferred, amount of coverage, and you can see right there, bam, it'll tell you a premium amount. So yeah, kind of just a quick, easy way to utilize the product. Before I get the question, you'll notice up here it says Transamerica Premier Life Insurance Company at the top. This is a resource we share with one of our other brands, Transamerica Premier, as opposed to Transamerica Life Insurance Company. The rates on the products are all the same, so you're going to come up with the same quote. When you write an application, or you're pulling an application off of agent.info, the website, it is just going to say Transamerica Life Insurance Company. It won't have that Premier marking on it.
Okay, great, Doug. And Heidi, thank you for bringing that to our attention so we could get back to it.
Yep, great question.
Yes, we do have this being recorded. It'll be up on the Messer website within probably the next 24 to 48 hours. So for those that weren't able to get on for one reason or another and see the presentation, it'll be there for you to kind of walk yourself back through. And of course, once again, to get to that same calculator address and be able to copy it and do what you need to do going forward. I think that takes care of our questions. And the last piece of business, of course, is the announcement that as an agent on this phone today, and we have registered you to be here, we would like to see you, number one, be contracted if you have not yet contracted, enabling you to go ahead and put together your first piece of business for us. And if so, we will acknowledge that piece of business once it comes in within the parameters of the next 30 days and being issued in the next 60, which should be absolutely no problem with this type of a product, that an additional $100 commissionary bonus incentive will be paid to you directly from Messer Financial. So, with all of that in mind, again, thank you all for taking the time during this wonderful week, opening up a spring, and of course, the important week of the Passion. I wish you all a blessed and a happy Easter. And Doug, again, thank you very much for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you, Mark.